What's going on, guys? So the iPhone 17 Pro Max just dropped. We're going to be taking it out to some of the US most unique landscapes, including here at Death Valley Zabriskie Point. With the help of the Shift Cam lenses, we're going to be taking some photos, videos, creating content. Let's see how they perform. Whew. We just hiked all the way from the parking lot. It's way back there. Welcome to the Mesquite Sand Dunes. This location, definitely by far my favorite place to shoot in Death Valley National Park. A lot of the times when you come to a scene like this, it can be a little bit overwhelming. You know, there's just so much cool stuff to see and shoot. You don't know where to begin. So when I come to a place like this, the thing that I really like to utilize is this bad boy right here. It's the 240 millimeter. It's a 10x zoom. Just being able to try to compress the scene and just what I like to say is find a scene within the scene. Create really cool compositions that, you know, your regular iPhone or a wide angle might not be able to produce. So let's put this 240 millimeter to the test and see what it can do. But you can also utilize that in other ways too. The sand, the detail on the sand right here is really cool. There's little, unique patterns from the wind blowing it and creating and forming how it's sitting right now. And we're going to try to just honestly just shoot straight down. It's currently sunrise in Alabama Hills. One of my favorite places to shoot here is Movie Road. You may have seen this scene in some movies in the past, but as you can see, this is the 1X and it looks really nice. But what we want to do and try to accomplish is maybe condense it a little bit, compress the scene, make the mountains a little bit bigger. So let's try to utilize the 60 millimeter lens and see what we can come up with. Alabama Hills is really famous for its Mount Whitney jagged peaks, and because of how fast and convenient the Shift Cam system is, we're going to throw on the 240 millimeter and try to compress that shot and see what we can come up with. As you can see, there's some really nice leading lines right here with the road, and it's lining up perfectly with the mountains, so we're going to take some shots, probably start with the 60 millimeter. So we just switched over to the 16 millimeter, which is the wide angle, and what we're going to do is try to get up on the flowers here. It's actually one of my favorite lenses to use when it comes to landscape photography, and because we're so wide, we can get up on these flowers to utilize it as that foreground, add that nice color to the scene, but because we're wide, we can still get that nice leading lines of the road and the mountain lineup. So do our best here. One of the things I really appreciate about the Shift Cam just kit itself is just the convenience and how quick things are. I'm used to walking around carrying a 20-pound bag with 5 lenses and 3 camera bodies and things like that, and just being able to come in, literally I can take the lens off. I have 3 lenses in my pockets right now, and I could definitely have more. Take the one that I want, throw it on there, and we're ready to go. So we now have the Shift Cam 75 millimeter long range macro lens, and I'm not a huge macro guy, but I'm really curious to see how this works. We're going to explore Alabama Hills a little bit and test it on some plants and things like that and see what we can come up with. Back of the flower scene, and there's some bees here, and I'm trying to not get stung. Sick. I think we got one. Just switched over to the traditional 10x macro lens, and we're going to try to use this on some unique things like maybe my hand. We now have the fisheye lens on here, and the fisheye lens is really cool to use. It adds some distortion, shoots super wide, can be good for things like Milky Way, Astro, landscape as well. But just to change it up a little bit, our friend Wesley, who's behind the camera currently, is going to take some portraits of me. I'm just going to do a quick switch, and he's going to take some portraits of me with the fisheye lens, and we're going to see what we can come up with. 60 millimeter back on, and out of all the lenses, it's one of my favorites to use. It's just a really nice lens to have that kind of, like it says, captures scenes, can kind of focus on some things that it's not as zoomed in as the big 240 millimeter. Nice in between feel, and it's usually one of my go-tos. One of my tips that I wanted to share with you, which is my 5 comp rule. With the 5 comp rule, it's just whenever you go to a scene, you want to try to come out and get 5 different types of photos and compositions, and this will really help create that aspect of things. And going back to different compositions, how we utilize the flowers with the wide angle earlier this morning. So being able to switch to your lenses and getting the different photos and creating content within the same scene is really going to help your creativity aspect of things and making sure that you leave that scene with the best photos you possibly could have taken. So this is the 1.33 anamorphic lens for shift cam. Now this is a 1.33 anamorphic for a regular camera. It's at least 5 to 10 pounds. It's obviously huge. You may notice in a lot of movies when the black bars are coming down, this is utilizing this type of lens, and it kind of is one of the go-tos for a lot of creatives when it comes to creating cinematic scenes. When you're doing video scenes, you're going to want to use what's called a filter or ND filter, and this is really cool. You can see it's a variable ND, so depending on the time of day, you may need to change it to compensate for your exposure. Not to get into crazy details, but if you're shooting in 24 frames per second, your shutter speed should always be double that rate. But that will create, especially when it's light out, some really harsh exposures. So this will help bring it back down to light, and let's see what kind of cinematic scenes we can create. All right, so we just got back, and guys, the shift cam lenses and the iPhone 17 put together, it honestly blew my mind. From the quality of the images, the compression that the 240, the 60, to the wide angle fisheye lens, and everything else. And the biggest thing, because it offers that quality, just the convenience factor is absolute must have for me, especially when it gets down to like that sunset time. You have 15-20 minutes to shoot. Being able to just take the lenses in and out of your pockets, switching on the shift cam system with the case. It has the little grooves. You can utilize the different camera lenses. I would highly recommend for anyone, especially anyone who's getting that iPhone 17, to invest in the shift cam lenses. I've been trying to figure out ways of how I can incorporate this into more of my everyday usage while I'm out in the field, and someone who's I've been full-time for the past 6+ years. I've worked on huge brand campaigns. I've used all the lens, all the camera systems. These stood up to the test, and something that I would highly recommend to anyone, like I said, especially if you're buying the new iPhone 17. That pairing with everything that it offers is a no-brainer. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for joining me across some of my favorite locations on the west coast of the USA. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. I hope to see you all again very soon. Until next time, see you.